Listen to me. If there was a wise man who would ever think of this, they would say in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. For I am the man himself.
What is going on and how y'all doing tonight? This is the Club of the Man 1993, and this is take 2, take 3, take 4, wherever you want to call, of this special review of NXT Battleground 2024. So I originally recorded this review last night. I was very tired. I was exhausted. I had a lot on my mind. And thinking back on it, I really half-assed that review. And lately, I have been catching myself not being in the right stage whenever I do reviews. And when I thought back on, although I still don't have a heck of a lot to say about this show, I would rather do one a little more efficient than the one last night. The one I did last night was absolute crap. So I'm like, okay, I still have the graphics. Let me re-record it. And then I had some microphone issues, and then I finally got it fixed. So now I am here after probably 3. This is the 3rd attempt tonight. 4th overall, I think it is, for this review. So let's do this. This is my review of NXT Battleground 2024. That took place last Sunday, June 9th, 2024, at the UFC Apex in Las Vegas, Nevada. Again, I don't watch NXT anymore. I do try to at least, keep up and see what's going on, but I don't watch it like I did from 2016 till summer of 2021. I don't anymore. This show didn't make me want to again. I have seen some things, though, that at least have made me want to at least kind of keep up a little bit more with what's going on. But again, I just don't have the time to review a ton of wrestling shows a week anymore, unfortunately. But I had some interest in this show. Although I do think there is some depth with it, I'm a little head scratching about them bringing in a women's mid-card title. But again, we'll see how it goes. But I was interested in seeing this North American Women's Championship. I also kind of had an interest in the NXT Battleground match. I also was interested in seeing Ethan Page, since he just came to AEW. He just came to WWE from AEW. And I think the biggest selling point, there's one other selling point. The fact that it's taking place in Las Vegas in the UFC Apex. Although this disappointed me, I thought we were actually going to have matches in the Octagon. We did not. So that was kind of a disappointment to me. It was just basically in the Apex, but the ring was just a typical wrestling ring. But I definitely, the biggest selling point, the match I was interested the most in, was that women's title match with Roxanne Perez and Jordynne Grace. I think that was the biggest selling point where I'm like, I gotta check this show out. WWE and TNA are now doing some cross-brand promotional stuff. Stuff I'm sure that if Tony Khan would, not get too full of his own ego. Well, I shouldn't say too full of his ego, but still, go as haywire as he is right now. I feel like there could have been a cross-brand promotion thing going on with WWE and AEW, but right now it's just not even close to happening. But yes, that I think was the biggest selling point for me to check out this show and for me to do a brief review on it. I watched it. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it either, though. Again, NXT, I don't think will ever reach the levels it was in from like 2014 until, I would say, early 2020. I think the last time NXT was really on fire was NXT TakeOver Portland in 2020, right before the pandemic. I still feel like with taking away that Full Sail audience, that's what killed NXT to me. It's just clearly labeled as developmental. It doesn't feel like a third competing brand anymore in WWE. But it's definitely better than 2.0. You actually are seeing stars develop. You are seeing stars that are getting opportunity, but they're still green. And that's okay. But you do see people that, I do look forward to seeing someday on the main roster. And again, I saw some of that in the show. But again, I didn't love it that much because it's one of the greatest pay-per-views I've ever watched. And also, it doesn't make me want to watch NXT. Plus, two, NXT is on Tuesday nights. And Tuesday nights are my night out. But, again, it was good. Have some good, some bad to say about the show. But it was a nice, fun show to watch for something different. I felt the women had the best stuff on the show. My favorite men's match was definitely that triple threat match for the North American title with Femi, Joe Coffey, and Wesley. The women I thought had the best matches on the show. Although one of them I don't feel like I'm going to praise as much as most people. I also felt that the women's title match with Roxanne Perez and Jordynne Grace should have main evented the show. Nothing against Trick Williams or Ethan Page. I just felt that women's title match was the biggest selling point of the show, and it should have main evented. Although there was a big laughable moment that happened during that match that I hated the laugh at, but it just cracked me up. I feel bad for the woman I cracked up at, but again, it's just one of those moments I'm just like, God, you can't just catch a break no matter where you go. But let's get into it and let's talk about it. The show opened up with a 6-woman ladder match to crown the first ever NXT Women's North American Champion. In the match was Mia Yim, or Mi Chin, Lash Legend of Metaphor, Fallon Henley, Sol Ruca, Jada Parker, and Kelani Jordynne, who I think is Carmelo Hayes' girlfriend. I think. This is a good ladder match. It wasn't the best ladder match I've seen, but I thought it was good. Out of the 6 women of this match, 5 of them impressed me. Kelani James, who first off won the match, I definitely see a lot of potential in her. I don't really know her that well, but I was impressed by her, and I was okay with them giving her the title. Jada Parker seems to have an it factor. I did see she was in the recent women's breakout tournament. And again, I didn't like her as much as Kelani, but I did see something in her. Fallon Henley, I would say, was one of my least favorites in this match, but I still saw potential in her. I feel like she's probably one of the furthest away from ever going to the main roster, but I feel like it feels like she has something there. I know she just recently turned heel. She was a long baby face, and I know she was in the tag team with Kiana James, and they won the women's tag titles. And they're kind of like that bizarro tag team where there's one of them who does things the right way and one thinks who does it the wrong way. Now, of course, Fallon Henley's a heel and doing, things, as heels would do. I still think there's something there, though. But again, definitely the weakest part of the match, one of the weaker parts. But of the 5 that I see potential in, she's number 5, definitely. Then, of course, you do have Mia Yim, who I have always been a big fan of. I'm just worried that it's starting to show that there just isn't room for her at the top right now. I would love for there to be, but I don't think WWE sees her as a top priority right at this time. So she is flowing back and forth between the main roster and NXT, probably to still, improve some of her skills. But I still stand by my word for hashtag give Mia Yim a chance. Still get that trending, even though I'm not on social media right now. Even though it's flashing below, but I didn't get to change the graphics. But again, I will be back there soon. And then my favorite in this match for sure was definitely Sol Ruca. I saw some of her highlights before she had her ACL injury. She's awesome. I watch her, I think of either a female Ricochet or even also a female Will Ospreay. Yes, I went that far and compared Sol Ruca's style to Will Ospreay. I think she's going to be a mega hit someday for sure. Kind of surprised they didn't give her the win here. But I think Kelani Jordynne is going to be a fine mid-card champion. The only one that I can say that I wasn't really super impressed with was Lash Legend. I've heard she's still kind of green. I did think she did come across as a little out of it in this match. I mean, the best spot she was involved in, though, for sure, was that spot where all the women, picked her up, tossed her over the ropes, over the ropes. I thought that was a cool spot there. But I just thought out of the 5 of them, this is the only one I'm kind of she needs probably a little more work. Right now, I can't see her being on the main roster. Yes, I know she's a bigger woman, but I feel like she has the most work out of all the women in this match. She was definitely the one that at least interested me the most. But I thought it was a good match. Couple little botches in there, but it was still good. Eventually, though, Kelani Jordynne, Carmelo Hayes' girl, does win the match, and she is the first women's North American champion. I believe this past week on NXT, she did defend it against Mia Yim, and she won the match. So far, so good. So congratulations to her for sure. I mean, definitely the ladder match for the first ever men's North American champion at TakeOver New Orleans 2018 is by far more superior than this. But this was good. It was a good performance by the women. And again, most of them did, give me a good impression. I think the future is going pretty bright if these women are booked well. So that was the opener match. The second match was probably my least favorite match on the card. It was the NXT tag title match with the team of Axiom, formerly A-Kid in NXT UK, and Nathan Frazier, formerly Ben Carter in NXT UK. They took on the OCs, Gallows and Anderson, not Gallus. We'll talk about Gallus in a wee bit. Like I said, it was probably my least favorite match of the card. I do like Axiom, and I do like Nathan Frazier. They're great talents. They're definitely great high flyers. Nathan Frazier especially, I am very excited to see him get to the main roster. He's one guy that the first time I saw him, I'm like, he feels like a big deal. And then they mentioned he was in Seth Rollins' training school in NXT UK. So first off, a match with him and Seth Rollins is definitely a dream match. I think at NXT Gold Rush last year, whenever Seth Rollins appeared on the show, which that's another match I want to do live reactions for. I gotta watch someday. Is Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker at NXT Gold Rush last year. I think there was a face-off moment between Seth and Nathan, and I think that's a match that has to happen one day. It will be an awesome match. Again, though, Gallows and Anderson, I just still feel like, although I'm still huge fans of them, I still feel like the ship has kind of sailed with them. Even though they brought them back, I just feel like they just don't feel any different than when they first originally got released back in 2020. I just don't see them anytime soon, catching fire in WWE. And because I didn't see that difference, I think that's why I didn't enjoy this match as much as I probably could have. Because, again, Axiom and Nathan still had some excellent spots in the match. But their opponents were just kind of a little bit of a walk in the park, I thought. But they do retain. And, it was still, a solid match. A decent to solid match. Following this, we had this NXT Underground match. The Queen of Spades, Shayna Baszler, took on, I think, the winner of the women's breakout tournament this past year, and who definitely has a lot of potential, Lola Vice. A lot of people I know really enjoyed this. I didn't think the match was bad. But I think my problem was I went into this match and I thought back to when they did like Raw Underground, which had potential but it flubbed. I also kept thinking, I went into this match and I kept thinking about the MMA rules match at SummerSlam last year with Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. And how many of us YouTubers have talked many times about the fact that a boxing type match in WWE just never seems to work. Because I think that you can't take a boxing match and make, and turn it into a fake fight, but make it look real. There were still some spots and I think that's the big reason why the MMA rules match at SummerSlam flubbed. Here, though, although there were some spots that were slow and it looked very fake, there were still some good spots in this match. Like, I did enjoy seeing, some drama started up whenever they knocked each other into, the fans who were, around the ring, slamming, again, it was basically trying to make it into, a bar fight or something like that. With, people, encourage on the side, keep going and whatnot, don't break them up and whatnot. I know there was times where, Shayna Baszler, ran her leg into the announce table, and I think there was some activity on top of the announce table as well. The vicious spot of Shayna running into the steel. I mean, Shayna did have some spots showing, her old self, but some of the bumps she took were definitely insane. And then the ending where Lola Vice finally got her in the palm of her hand and started just walloping on her. I'm like, why were those look a lot more real? Why were the first portion where you're keeping it slower, it didn't look as real? But again, definitely some better spots than the MMA rules match. But again, it's just that I feel like it's risky doing a match like this because it can either really work or it can also really suck. This one I felt was kind of in between. But Lola Vice does get the win as she should. And I think, she may soon be getting a women's title put on her. We'll see if it's a North American title or the NXT Women's Championship. We'll have to see, though. After this, again, was definitely my favorite match for the men on this show, which was the North American Championship in a triple threat match for the men. Femi took on Joe Coffey and Wesley. Again, very fun match. Femi is a great big man wrestler. I feel like he is smooth in the ring. He has tons of potential. He could definitely put on an interesting show. Joe Coffey, I don't mind Joe Coffey, but I just feel like Gallus never really got established as a dangerous group in NXT UK. They kind of felt like a stable that could put people over, but I feel like even though, of course, they got runs with the tag titles, I feel like they didn't make themselves look as strong as I feel they could have. And right now, I don't know what the story is with Gallus. Joe Coffey's still there. He's not bad, but he's not someone that I see getting called up anytime soon. But he had some spots there. I know Gallus came out a few times trying to help him out, but it didn't work because Femi did pin him to get the victory. He did not pin Wesley, but I do think Wesley also has really proven himself too. I know he was out for a bit with a back injury. He was out for 8 months, I think it was. And he's somebody that I thought was going to get buried. Whenever Nash Carter got released because of his allegations he got against him a few years ago. I think didn't they involve Jordynne Grace as well? Like, wasn't he being mean to Jordynne Grace? I can't remember if that's who he was with. I thought he was also with Gigi Dolan at one point. But I was afraid that Wesley was going to get lost in the shuffle. But I think they've done an excellent job making him a great young talent. I know he was a great North American champion. He can put on great performances as well. I'm wondering, though, if I feel like soon they will be making Oba Femi the main event champion. So, like, I think they do have a one-on-one match coming up with each other, Oba and Wes. I wouldn't be surprised if they gave the belt back to Wes. So that way Oba Femi can get the NXT championship. I feel like it's not going to be too long until they call up Oba Femi. But, again, they had an excellent showing. And I think this was definitely the strongest men's match on the card. My match tonight for sure, though, was still definitely this NXT women's title match between Roxanne Perez and Jordynne Grace. First off, again, just the moment of them on a WWE pay-per-view. Even though, of course, we had her and Mickie James appear as the Impact Women's Champion or TNA Knockouts Women's Champion at the Royal Rumbles. This is the first actual, like, advertised match between a WWE and a TNA star, which was big. And again, Jordynne Grace is definitely awesome. I think right now she's not fully under contract with TNA. I think she's working on like a week basis, I think, for what I've heard. So, like, she could possibly come to WWE full-time at some point. Not yet, I don't think. But I think once she drops the title, she could come in. She already said she's very well-liked and in great hands. And Roxanne Perez is just awesome to begin with. Like, I think Roxanne could have been called up already, but I think they're doing what they did with Braun Breaker. She's that big of a star that they want to experiment with her with both as a face and a heel. Although, I watched her heel work, and I feel like, is she actually really like a villainous character, or is she just a much more aggressive version of her original self? Like, I don't see her as like a typical heel. I see her more as someone who, you know, is supposed to play a bad girl, but she still, like, you know, wrestles like she's someone to beat. But, besides the match being great, as I said earlier, I felt bad, but I just cracked up at that ending. Because towards the end, we have Tatum Paxley who shows up, who's this, like, psycho-type character that still, to me, feels more so of, like, a sidekick rather than, like, an actual, like, main eventer. So, again, she's someone else I feel like that is not going to be called up anytime soon compared to Roxanne Perez. But she came out, but Tatum came out, and she actually stole Jordynne Grace's title, which I think is set up for a match, a crossover match on an episode of TNA or in a pay-per-view upcoming soon between Jordynne Grace and Tatum Paxley. But she came out with the title, and then to come out to stop her was, in the words of Vic Joseph, Ash by Elegance, formerly Dana Brooke. And she took out Tatum Paxley before Jordynne took her out. But, of course, off of distraction, Roxanne won the match. But Dana Brooke, my gosh, she came out to literally no reaction. You could have heard a pin drop. Like, it came across as like nobody misses her. And I feel bad because I did hear stories where she apparently would always be one of the first people to show up at the Performance Center, always trying to find ways to get better. And it just never worked for her, unfortunately. And from her to leave, to come back from the other brand, to get zero reaction, this sucks for sure. I felt bad. But again, Roxanne does get the win. The moment she drops that title, which could be sometime this summer or maybe, you know, by beginning of fall, by the end of the year, I firmly believe Roxanne Perez will be on the main roster, as she should be. And again, you never know. She's working on a handshake deal. Maybe we could get Jordynne Grace full-time as well. Wait and see, though. And then finally, the main event was Trick Williams. Whoop that trick! Whoop that trick! Which I still can't believe I thought that was a Charlotte Flair thing at first. He took on Ethan Page. All ego Ethan Page. This match was fine. Again, it was not worthy of a main event match. And also, I'm a big fan of Ethan Page. I got a question though, why did they give him the NXT title match as his very first match? Like, I know he's talented, but I still look at him as the guy who was directionless for the longest time in AEW. And because of that, I couldn't quite get into this match as I felt that he hasn't established himself differently yet. Great wrestler, but I feel like he still is finding himself as a character. But still thought he did good. Trick Williams won to end the show. But, yeah, I think that if you want to put a title on Ethan, I think putting the North American title on him probably would be the best bet. I mean, heck, again, we got Wesley win it just to drop it to Ethan Page. Or if they want to do heel on heel, they could have Ethan Page dethrone over Femi. But we'll have to, of course, wait and see where that all goes. Because that's going to be my review of NXT Battleground 2024. Much better than, of course, it was from last night when I reviewed it. But I gave the show a B. Like I said, good matches. Nothing really that, made me want to watch full time. But, it was still a good show, and I enjoyed it. So, as always, guys, please make sure to leave your thoughts down in the comments section below. Leave your thoughts on this show. What grade would you give it? What were your thoughts? Favorite matches, least favorite matches? Does it make you want to watch NXT? And also, again, make sure to slap a like on the video and subscribe for more content on the channel. Again, the social media pages, except for TikTok, are currently down right now, but they will be back soon. But if you want to follow me on TikTok, follow me on TikTok. But more importantly, make sure you subscribe to the channel as well to keep things live and going as well. All right, guys, I'm checking out. I'm going to take a quick shower, then maybe try to do more my Raw and SmackDown reviews, but that's a little bit in the air because it is 12:30 at night, but we'll see what happens. So once again, guys, I'm checking out. I'll catch y'all later. Have a great rest of your night, and I'll talk to you soon. And do not forget, in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. And for I am the man himself. And that is not just an opinion, my friends. That is a fact of life. Yeah!